Hello everyone, my name is Walid and today we will be talking about doing business and investing in Tunisia. So, to get started, we can look at Tunisia at a glance. Tunisia is a country in the North Africa or Maghreb region with a population of roughly 12 million people. Its capital city is Tunis and the currency is the Tunisian dinar. The red color of the flag represents the bloodshed by the Tunisian people when they fought the Ottoman Empire. The white color represents peace, the sun, and the power of the nation. And last but not least, the five-pointed star represents the five pillars of Islam, which is the official state and leading religion in Tunisia. Qais Said is the president of Tunisia in 2023 and the prime minister is Ahmed Hashani. We can also see that the GDP per capita of Tunisia in 2022 is $3,807.14, which is the third highest in North Africa behind Algeria and Egypt respectively. As for the political landscape of Tunisia, we will go over the government, the local government, political parties, and judicial system. To begin with government, Tunisia is known as a republic with Arabic as its language and Islam as its religion. Within the government, there's an executive branch that consists of the chief of state, which is the president Qais Said, and the head of government, which is the acting prime minister Ahmed Hashani. As the chief of state, the president is the commander of the armed forces and is responsible for conducting foreign policy. He also has the ability to introduce legislation and constitutional amendment. Within the government, there's also a legislative branch in which there's a lower and upper house. The legislation itself originated in the lower house, which is called the Assembly of People's Representatives. The upper house, called the National Assembly of Regions and Districts, carries out constitutional duties along with the lower house. The country is divided into 24 administrative areas named wilayat, each headed by a wali. And these wilayat are further divided into mu'tamadiyat, which are delegations headed by a mu'tamad. As for the political parties, the Ennahda movement is the political party with the most recognition, especially after the Jasmine Revolution in 2011. And one of Tunisian social policy's most prominent features is the focus to improve the status and lives of women. As for the judicial system, Tunisia's legal system is a mixture of French civil law and Islamic Sharia law. The functioning of the judicial system is overseen by a Supreme Judicial Council, which comprises judges and other legal specialists. The Constitutional Court rules on the constitutionality of laws and treaties. Next, we can talk about the geographic landscape of Tunis. First of all, Tunisia encompasses an area of 163,610 square kilometers and borders Libya and Algeria from the east and west respectively. The weather varies depending on location, with the southern part being hot and arid and the central part being more dry. The northern part can get especially cold in the winter. The temperatures in the months of May to October average between 27 to 35 degrees Celsius and 19 degrees Celsius for the remaining months. As for the nature, the flora and fauna of Tunisia are very diverse and the country hosts 17 national parks for wildlife preservation. Olive trees are also widely cultivated in Tunis and it's considered a national heritage. In the Arab world, Tunisia is known as Tunis al-Khadra, which means Tunisia the Green. Last but not least, we can talk about the socio-economic landscape, or my friend will take over from here. So, like we have mentioned, Tunisia's population is 12 million, one of the least populated nations in North Africa, and Tunisia has been experiencing a low birth rate as of late. This is also widely due to the family planning programs that were introduced in the 1960s that were aimed at reducing the fertility rate, which in turn boosted social development and life expectancy. As for the economy, Tunisia's GDP in 2022 was estimated at $131 billion, while the GDP per capita was estimated at $3,752. In terms of debt, the external debt as of June 2023 was $41.6 billion. For the local economy, it is largely oriented towards the service sector, which includes information communication technologies and tourism, which is largely important for the local economy. Agriculture is also a key sector, and as we've mentioned, olive oil is Tunisia's largest agricultural export, followed by dates and fresh fruit. The industrial sector is also important as it is mainly export-oriented, and examples of industrial exports are clothing and textiles, as well as petroleum and mining. Now, I will give it to my friend to take over from here.
Hello everyone, I'm Richmond at Boateng, and I'm going to take you through the directories in doing business in Tunisia. To do business in Tunisia, you need to know the type of business that are being done in Tunisia, which is the sole proprietorship, the limited liability, partnership, and the joint stock company. When it comes to the steps to registering your business in Tunisia, firstly, you need to obtain a certificate of deposit from the bank. Secondly, obtain a business permit from the Ministry of Trade. Secondly, obtain a business permit from the Ministry of Trade in Tunisia. Thirdly, register your business with the Commercial Registry Office for the records of operations. Also, you will need to register for tax with the tax authorities to obtain a TIN and VAT number. Finally, when hiring employees, you will need to comply with the Tunisian labor laws. This includes registering your employees with Social Security and obtaining work permits for them. The factors to consider when choosing the location for your business. 1. You need to consider the proximity to the market. 2. You need to consider the rental prices. 3. The demographic. 4. The infrastructure and accessibility. 5. The distribution network and the safety. Lastly, the recruiting effort and the talent.
Hello everyone, my name is Atiqa Mehrath, and today I will be talking about the tax overview of Tunisia. As of 2023, we have seen significant changes in the overall financial law of Tunisia. There have been increases in VAT services from 13% to 19%. There has also been an increase in interest and penalty changes from 1.25% to 5%. The social solidarity contribution is fixed at 0.5 for natural persons, 4% for companies falling under 35% CIT rate, and 3% for other companies. The minimum CSS increased from 300 to 500 Tunisian dirhams. Moving on to laws and regulations of Tunisia. As one of the founding members of World Trade Organizations, Tunisia has opened several doors to imports and exports all around the world. However, they have extensively focused on prioritizing their locally produced products as compared to imported goods. They have non-tariff barriers on certain goods that require import licenses or quotas on others. Tunisia has non-tariff barriers such as requirement of import license or quotas on certain products, especially pharmaceutical imports, as a way to protect its domestic pharmaceutical industry. They also have quotas and regulations on automotive and agricultural products and import controls on explosives, military and security-related equipment. With a population of almost 12 million people and a growth rate of 0.83%, Tunisia has no shortage of working population. As of 2023, the employment rate has decreased to 15.6%. The Tunisian government has collaborated with the United Nations, announced the creation of a multi-partner trust fund for employment and youth. This is part of the efforts to encourage advancement for youth employment by improving the socio-economic conditions of rural population, as well as promoting agricultural production in Tunisia. Other projects such as rural women's economic empowerment have also taken place with a goal to educate and train women for later work prospects. The government has put a lot of emphasis and made education its top priority. A constitution in 2014 states all citizens, male and female, shall have the right to decent working conditions and fair wages. They have put a wide focus on equipping their population with necessary skills and education to succeed in later life. Now moving towards which sectors to invest in Tunisia. In 2018, the Tunisian government announced 33 public-private partnership projects which focus on four main sectors: transportation and logistics, energy, infrastructure development, and technology. As a developing economy, Tunisia has put focus on its infrastructure as well, especially in the west and south central regions of the country. There has also been a rise in the automotive sector of Tunisia with a focus on encouraging hybrid and electric cars as part of their green initiative. From 2022, the government implemented 50% reduction in custom duties on hybrid cars and fully duty exemption on electric vehicles to encourage the expansion of the sector. There also has been an increase in the local demand for larger vehicle assembly plants, from heavy trucks, pickup truck to minibus vans. Tunisia has already caught attention of some Asian brands such as Hyundai, Yinglong, Mahindra, and Geely. These brands have already started investing in local assembly projects, and the government has made it a priority to welcome investment in the manufacturing of automobile components for export. Tunisia is actively participating in world's effort to move towards a more renewable energy source. In 2022, the government announced an action program to promote green hydrogen production for domestic and export markets, as well as the creation of a legal framework to encourage foreign investment in these sectors. The national grid of Tunisia is also connected to other countries such as Libya and Algeria, with plans of expanding into the northern Africa. Now I will pass this on to my friend.
Hello, I am Grace Appiah, and I will be talking about cross-cultural aspects of their different groups, meaning the different groups, the different tribes, the different ethnic groups, or the different societies that you can find in Tunisia. Tunisia is a country consisting of a homogeneous society where people tend to have similar values, traditions, and beliefs, leading to a powerful sense of unity and cohesion among the population. When I say this, it means that the people tend to do things together, or the majority of the population falls under one group and they do things together. But however, the Tunisians are descended from two main groups: the Arabs, who arrived in the Middle Ages and brought Islam, and the Berbers, who are indigenous to North Africa. Beside these two main ethnic groups, you can find other groups like the urbanized Bedouins, Christians, Jews, Italian Tunisians, and other Europeans in Tunisia. When you combine these five groups together, they contribute to only 2% of the total population of Tunisia, meaning that the Arabs and the Berbers are the majority people in Tunisia. The Berbers lived in North Africa for 1,000 years before the arrival of the Arabs. The name Berber is derived from the Latin word barbarian. They were referred to as the Libyans by the then ancient Greeks. However, they preferred the name Amazigh, which means they are free people. And the Berbers are the oldest culture, or their culture is the oldest in Tunisia. The root and tradition are some of the most ancient and are still practiced. As a matter of fact, they are part of the major people in Tunisia. During the Middle Ages, the Arabs also arrived in Tunisia when the early Islamic Caliphate spread across the permanent expanse of territory. So technically, the Arabs brought with them the Arabic language, which most Tunisians speak as the Islamic religion. About 98% of the people of Tunisians are Arabs. Nevertheless, Tunisian Arabic has its uniqueness, and it is a bit related to Algerian and Libyan Arabic. Therefore, these dialects are referred to as Maghrebi Arabic. The majority of the Tunisians are identified either as Arab or Arab Berber. Why? Because of intermarriages between the Arabs and the Berbers. So they have become the Arab Berber ethnic group. Just their differences may not be right away obvious. The Arabs identify as Muslims technically, and most of these Muslims are Sunni Muslim, which is popular across the Arab world. The other group is the urbanized Bedouin. Bedouin in Arab means Bedu, which is used to differentiate between a group of people who migrate with their heads and different groups who settle in an urban or agricultural area. The Bedouins are found in the southern areas of the country, such as Sidi, Bouzid, Gafsa, Tuza, and Medicine. The Bedouins can easily be identified by the way they dress, that is clothed in long flowing robes, and they are mostly riding across the desert on their camels. But the Bedouins are complex in identity. They are spread across North Africa, so they migrate with their head and engage in the agricultural workspace. So how you can identify the urbanized Bedouin from the Arabs and the Berbers is that they are mostly involved in agricultural work, and they are mostly found in the deserts. There used to be a multitude of inhabitants of Bedouins in Tunisia, but now because of migration, they have totally been reduced. There are other groups like the Jews, Christians, and Italian Tunisians who also dominate a portion of Tunisia. Jews, Christians, and Italian Tunisians comprises 1 to 2% of the Tunisian population. The number of Jews in Tunisia is around 1/3 of the people, and they mostly live in the capital and the rest in Jeddah. We have approximately like 30,000 Christians in Tunisia. Nowadays, the religious minorities compose mainly of three communities: Christian Tunisians descended from European migrants who settled in the country over various periods, and European Christians who are permanent residents of Tunisia. The Jewish community is recognized by the Tunisian state due to its long-standing presence, something that can be exemplified by the fact that the chief rabbi is paid directly by. Number of Jews left in Tunisia is not that much, and so they have a small group in Tunisia. The first Italians in Tunisia at the beginning of the 19th century were mainly traders and professionals in search of new opportunities, and they came from Liguria and other regions of northern Italy. So it was due to trade that made the Italian Tunisians migrated to Tunisia. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Julia and I will cover the business etiquette and how to negotiate a business deal. Introduction and punctuality. You should introduce yourself with a handshake and an introduction. But since Tunisia is an Islamic country, you should skip the handshake when greeting the opposite gender. As in most African countries, you have to pay attention to the professional titles when addressing someone, such as professor or doctor. Unlike in Belgium or other European countries, in Tunisia you have to be flexible with punctuality. Another important aspect is that you have to be respectful and mindful with the law, culture and religion in Tunisia. For example, during Ramadan you should not eat or drink in front of the fasting colleagues or business partners, out of respect and consideration. Also, when closing a business contract, the contract should be in strict accordance with Tunisian law. As for building and maintaining relationships, trust is very crucial in every business relationship. The best way to build trust with a Tunisian is by investing time in developing a personal relationship, and this can best be done outside of the working hours. The communication style in Tunisia is influenced by French culture, so the emphasis is laid on courtesy, formality, and professionalism. Also very important, you have to pay attention to non-verbal cues and the use of silence, since the communication style in Tunisia is indirect communication. For the business attire, you should dress formal and conservative. As mentioned before, Tunisia is an Islamic country where modesty is very important. Being well dressed is also a sign of respect. And another tip is that you should try the local clothing when attending an actual event, such as a jalaba for men or an Appiah for women. So, negotiating a business deal. Tunisia has an adaptable business culture that is influenced by Arab, African, and European business practices. So, flexibility, being easygoing and open-minded is very important when negotiating. And again, very important, cultural mindfulness. Cultural mindfulness is key for successful negotiations. Building contacts and relationship. Establishing contact with Tunisian bodies is very important before the initial meetings. The government and private institutions provide important information and assurance whether the future business partner can be trusted. Negotiation techniques. Most negotiations happen over meals. You should start with initiating discussion and small talk. You can expect to be interrupted. In many countries, this is considered disrespectful, but try not to take this personal in Tunisia. When negotiating, patience is key, since rushing is considered very rude and disrespectful. And you should demonstrate a willingness to understand and adapt with the Tunisian pace. As for decision-making, you have to acknowledge the hierarchical structure within the Tunisian companies. It is very important to use the correct titles, and you should also greet the highest-ranking person first, out of respect. As mentioned before, Tunisia has a non-direct communication style, so you have to follow the non-confrontational approach when providing feedback. It is important to do this privately. And last but not least, you have to be open to compromises. This for mutual beneficial solution. Thank you.
Once again, I'll be talking about Flemish, Belgium, and European companies. And the first company I'll be talking about is the European Investment Bank, also known as the EIB. It is owned by the European Union, which consists of the 27 member states of the European Union and is the only EU's long-term lending institution. The main goal of the EIB is to support and promote social, cultural, and academic initiatives with European stakeholders and extend them to the public at large. It has been operating in Tunisia since 1979. What they do is they operate in Tunisia under the EU bilateral agreement and European neighborhood policy. The strategy or the rule that they follow is developed or created in the European Parliament, and it is known as the EU bilateral agreement and the European neighborhood. During our interview with the ambassador, he mentioned that the government has been playing a vital role in supporting the people by providing the youth with professional training in the work sector and also supporting small-scale businesses with capital through the Bank of National Solidarity of Tunisia. The government of Tunisia has been supporting or doing their part to support the youth or invest in their business. Then again, the EIB also support small businesses, also support social activities. They contribute to cultural activities and also academic activities to help the country develop. The second company is the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, in short, the EBRD. It is also owned by the European Union and the European Investment Bank, as well as 72 countries, whereby the invest in changing lives. The main objective of the EBRD is to create a new post-Cold War era in Central and Eastern Europe. What this statement means that the EBRD was created after the Second World War II to help countries develop. But now, since there aren't so many wars, they are progressing towards market-oriented economies and promoting private and entrepreneur initiatives. They are not only focusing on countries that are going through war or having war within, they are also promoting private business, entrepreneur activities, whether for the government, whether individually, and they perform their work by collaborating with the civil society organizations in countries. So in this aspect, they collaborate with civil society organizations in Tunisia, and they work. Not like the EIB, or people can go to them directly, but this one you have to go through the civil society organization, and then they will connect you to the EBRD. The EBRD has contributed massively in Tunisia. They have created in 67 massive projects in Tunisia, such as the IFFCO working capital. It is an agricultural business that they have established in Tunisia, and they have also established BIAT. It is a regional financial institution to help give loans to small-scale businesses, and also to establish a submarine cable that is also in the energy sector. In total, the EBRD has invested over 2,018 million euros in Tunisia. You can really see that they are playing their role in the development of the country. We also have the Nchu Flavors. The Nchu Flavors is a Belgian company that manufactures aromatic raw materials, food flavorants, and aromatic and functional ingredients like the spices we put in food. And they have a sub company in Tunisia. They are also operating in Tunisia. The last company that I want to talk about is the Federal Enterprises of Belgium. In other words, the VBO in Flemish and the FEB in English. It's the official business voice of Belgium that promotes an excellent business and investment environment. FEB intentionally is to make it accessible for Belgian products and services to be launched on the international market and to attract new foreign investors to Belgium. They help Belgian products introduce themselves in foreign markets. Recently, they've launched a forum in Tunisia. The objective of this business forum is to strengthen the Belgian private sector in Tunisia and continue to invest in Tunisia's economic dynamism. This shows the profound economic relationship between Belgium and Tunisia. Belgium is the fourth European partner and also the fourth investor of all countries combined in Tunisia. Thank you very much for your time and patience.